Hi, my name is Yubi. I'm going to show you how to replace your bicycle brake pads with tools you can most likely find around the house in case you don't have time to go out and buy specialized tools. I've been taking part in fixing bikes since I was a kid, and I have actually replaced my own brake pads many times. Now you might be wondering, how do I know if I have to replace my bike's brake pads? You're going to want to replace your bike's brake pads if you're experiencing a sudden noise while braking, like a screeching noise, if you're experiencing vibrations in the actual handle that you pull on, or if you're experiencing a sudden loss in braking power, as these might mean that your brake pads are worn down or hitting the actual wheel instead of slowing down your bike as they should.
The only tool you're really going to need are one of these Allen keys. These are basic tools in even the simplest toolboxes, and you will likely have at least one lying around the house from IKEA furniture and similar builds.
The first step to replacing your brake pads is undoing this braking mechanism from the actual wheel. You're going to want to grab your Allen key and hook it on to this nut right here. This is the nut that holds the brake cable to the actual wheel. You turn it and then you loosen it like this. As you're loosening the screw, you're going to want to not remove the screw all the way, as there are small parts inside that are very easy to lose. You just want to loosen it enough so that the brake cable can easily slide out like this. And now you're ready to remove the actual brake pads from the wheel. The next thing you want to do is take your Allen key again and find the screw on the side of the brakes. These hold your brake pads to the actual wheel, and you're going to want to be careful and take a picture of the order of these small plates as you undo the brake pads.
As you're moving the screw, you're going to want to find a way to either take a picture or write down the order of these washers that are attached to the brake, as you're going to want to put them back in the same order when you reattach the new brakes.
What I do to remember the order of these washers is as I take them out, I carefully stack them up on a table so that when I need to attach the new brake pads, I can just grab them like this and attach them back onto the screw.
Once you've removed the first brake pad from the rim, you're going to want to move over to the other side and repeat
The same process on the other side. The way these brake pads work is by when you pull the cable, they push into the wheel and create friction to slow down the wheel. So one last way to check if your brake pads do need replacing is if these grooves, these 4 grooves right here, are worn down to this other ridge down here. If they are, your brake pads need replacing. As you can see, mine do not need replacing as these grooves are quite prominent.
Now that you've confirmed that your brake pads need replacing, you can head to the store and make sure you take your old brake pads with you to make sure you have the correct size. If you don't have the correct size, it can cause the brakes to be constantly engaged and make it harder for you to bike, or it can cause it to actually wear down the whole tire and the treads on the tire. Now that you've secured your new brake pads, you're ready to attach them back onto the bike. Make sure that this flat part, you can see there's a round and then there's a flat part. The flat part is facing the bottom. Another thing you want to make sure is that you have the right side for the right brake pad. So this has left, and I'm attaching it back onto the left side. You're going to want to screw them back in like this and make sure it's aligned correctly with the silver part right here, which is actually meant for the braking. If you push the brake mechanism together, you can see where it would hit. If it's too low, it's going to hit nothing. If it's too high, it's going to hit your tires and damage your tires. Grab the stacked set of fasteners you had kept on the side and screw them back on like this. Once you get close enough, you can grab your Allen key and tighten it and make sure it's in the correct positioning. If you do not stack these fasteners correctly, no matter how much you tighten, the brake pads will still move up and down like this.
Make sure you tighten the screw all the way and that these brake pads are aligned with the metal again, and that when you try to move this up and down, you cannot. Now that the brake pads are correctly attached to the braking mechanism, you can pull the brake cable through the screw and tighten it to the desired cable tension. To determine the correct cable tension, you can pull these back and forth, and you're going to want to set it where the brake pad just barely misses the metal part, just like this. If you pull it too tight, the brake will always be engaged, and you're going to find it very difficult to bike. If you do it too far, even if you pull the brake all the way, it's not going to actually touch the rim and brake. Once you determine the correct cable tension, where the brake pads just barely miss the rims, like so, you can use your Allen key and tighten the screw to make sure the cables stay in place. Once you finish tightening the screw, you're going to want to make sure this cable cannot be pulled through and it's fully tight. One way to make sure that you've completed these steps correctly is by lifting up the bike, like so, spinning these wheels and making sure that they continue to spin for at least 10 seconds, and then engaging the brake to see how quickly they stop. If you want to if you hold the brakes and it feels like it's too loose, you can mess with this brake cable to make it tighter or looser. by undoing the screw and pulling it back and forth.
So you're satisfied with your correct cable tension. You're ready to bike down the streets of Purdue without wondering whether your brakes are actually going to stop you.